It's a lovely good evening today, the 19th of October 2021. To present Camnet TV News, my name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Top stories in the news tonight: the DP expels KALABA from the party. President HH implores Zambians to exhibit patience. Bishop MAMBO labels National Day of Prayer organizers hypocrites. In international news, gunmen kill 43 in Nigeria's troubled north. And in sports news, Zambia Rugby Union concludes Super Week.
Are you a small to medium enterprise looking to advertise your products and services within your community and across Zambia? In these economic times, we are here to help you grow your business. Advertise with us on Camnet Market. Camnet Market is offering lower rates for prime time advertising between 06 to 18 hours every day to give your business an edge under the new normal and beyond. For more details, contact us on the following numbers: 097 975 3010 or 096 296 5883, as well as 096 244 726. You can also reach us via email on info@camnettvafrica.com. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Hello once again, another news in detail. A renowned clergyman, Bishop John MAMBO, has charged that the low turnout of people at the National Day of Prayer, Repentance and Reconciliation event was as a result of hypocritical organizers. In an interview with Camnet TV, Bishop MAMBO notes that the same people who publicly criticize Mr. Hakainde Hichilema and endorsing political figures cannot be the same ones at the forefront of the event. He notes that the clergy almost set the country on fire due to their political inclination and tribal remarks, which he says should not be ignored without an apology to the president and the Zambian people in general. Meanwhile, Bishop MAMBO notes that the National Day of Prayer does not have a meaning if people do not repent and reconcile before holding such events. The immediate past president, Edgar Lungu, declared 18th October as the National Day of Prayer, to which all Zambians come together in prayer.
Stands of late. If God is going to be a hearer of prayers, we need to humble ourselves, pray and look up to Him, and it will be done. The majority will attend, but as it is, like I said, it has no a meaning for a country that is a Christian nation. You pray how many times? I pray how many times? Because even yesterday they were at a showground. We were praying. And the other thing we're extending also, we're not just praying. The prisoners, just like we have heard today, how many of us, some of us have farms and so forth, have ever slaughtered a sheep and say, go and give those who are heading. So I'm looking for a day when we say, look, this day is declared a day when Zambia was declared a Christian nation, or better still, 12 of August, because the church almost put this country into civil war, because the ones that you are seeing yesterday at showground, these are the people who are saying Tonga cannot be a president. These are the same brothers, our co-laborers, who are saying Satan is never be. A week before then, when did they then confess to say, look, we made a mistake, either to him if he had come there, or to yourself and myself, because we took a position of God. We do not want the day of prayer, even the Thanksgiving for Zambia being declared a Christian nation by professional hypocrites. No. If I've made a mistake, I have to confess. Not because I'm going to rub shoulders with the minister or president, no. My calling is to God Almighty.
Democratic Party Vice President Judith Kabimba has expelled Party President Harry KALABA from the party for trying to supplant the Democratic Party and the Patriotic Front. Speaking in Lusaka today, Ms. Kabimba says Mr. KALABA has unilaterally dissolved all structures for the party countrywide and has been replacing them with the PF structures. She says her and Justin Nkonge are the founding members of the DP, who are the registered office bearers of the party and not Mr. KALABA. Meanwhile, the Democratic Party National Chairman has accused Mr. KALABA of receiving monies from international donors, which he alone has had access to. Details in the following report.
Confusion has emerged in the Democratic Party as the Vice President Judith Kabimba has expelled Party President Harry KALABA for acting outside the party's constitution and for bringing Patriotic Front members into the party. According to Ms. Kabimba, her and Mr. Justin Konge are the registered office bearer of the party and not Mr. KALABA, hence the decision to fire him.
Also, that he is not a registered office bearer of the Democratic Party. I think I must say that cohabiting is not marriage, isn't it, colleagues?
In Zambian law,
no matter how long you cohabit with a person, it cannot be translated into marriage. So the DP and Mr. KALABA were simply cohabiting, and we call it quit. Also advise that Mr. KALABA is hereby expelled from entering the Democratic Party Secretariat henceforth.
She adds that Mr. KALABA has been appointing members of the former ruling party, the Patriotic Front, into high party positions, which she says will not be allowed.
Because how on earth can a person bring criminals who the people of Zambia rejected into the party and you appoint them against the constitution of the party to the highest body? Isn't that sabotage?
With regards to the future of the DP party, Mr. Nkonge had this to say.
Beginning from now going onwards, Madam Judith Kabemba will act as the national chairman of the Democratic Party, and I will, as Justin Nkonge, will act as the Secretary General and the National Treasurer of the Democratic Party, and I'll be deputized by Evans Chilambwe.
And Mr. Nkonge has charged that Mr. KALABA has been receiving monies from international donors, which only he knows how he's been spending it.
Mr. KALABA has been receiving money from donors without accounting to anyone. He is the only one who has been receiving money from the party that we've suffered for, and is the one who has been deciding. We don't know where he gets the money. He knows alone. He's the one who receives. And in fact, part of the issues are that we are also disciplining him for financial indiscipline.
Meanwhile, Deputy National Party Secretary Precious Silungwe says she will not respond to the sentiments made by Ms. Kabimba and Mr. Nkonge, but that in due course a response will be provided.
We would like to inform the party membership and general public that the leadership, through an emergency meeting that was convened to address the dues issue of insubordination, has today, 19th October 2021, resolved to place Ms. Kabemba and Mr. Nkonge on suspension pending a disciplinary hearing.
Meanwhile, Mr. KALABA has not responded to the expulsion, but information reaching the media is that he will hold a press briefing Tuesday to give his position. Prudence Jota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The National Water Supply and Sanitation Council, NWASCO, has implored water firms to accelerate the water metering coverage in view of addressing the plight of consumers as well as controlling non-revenue water. According to the NWASCO 2020 sector report, metering ratio increased to 82% from 81%, with 21,779 meters installed, and the Lusaka Water and Sanitation Company is the least at 70%. NWASCO Chief Inspector Peter Mtale says despite making progress on the metering ratio, more still needs to be done to meet the 100% mark. We have more in the following report.
Water metering is the practice of measuring water use. It enables utilities to measure the amount of water their customers use. It helps to generate monthly bills based on the data that meters collect, detect leaks and water line breaks in the distribution system. It enables consumers to pay according to their usage, but due to limited metering ratio in Lusaka, some consumers have ended up paying for what they did not use, like in this case, in Lusaka's Karingaringa compound.
Tigula one kwacha bucket. Bill, babwela checking a bill, na kulipira bill tilipira, manzi amene kulipi. ngati simunalipire ijabiwu simuiziva nakweyachokera ngati simunailipire babwera kuvala kwamene kulibe madzi.
Based on the 2020 National Water Supply and Sanitation Council sector report, the Lusaka Water and Sanitation Company was the least performing utility with the metering ratio of 70%, but continues to make efforts to meet the benchmark. NWASCO Chief Inspector Peter Mutale tells Camnet News that water metering is vital in non-revenue water reduction strategies and enables consumers to only pay for what they use.
Again, when you sell, you need to know how much did we sell. So now that difference between how much you produce and how much you sold will give you non-revenue. So you can only control something that you can measure. And that's why now metering becomes very critical. Apart from just ensuring that you charge customers according to what they consume, but it also helps you to measure, so that now you can also control. Now, if you're not 100% metered, what happens is that you make an assumption that this customer maybe is consuming 20 cubic meters of water per month, but in actual fact, they may be consuming 50. So it means that that extra 30, it will be non-revenue water. That's why we need to meter, so that this loss which happens at consumption point, you take care of it.
Mr. Mutale explains that despite most of the water firms being above 70% in terms of metering ratio, there is a need to ensure 100% coverage by all water utility companies in the country.
Is a way to go. And what we have done is that all our tariff conditions, there's a metering part that we need to meter, But on top of that, we have also engaged the government to say, for us to ensure that we control this big animal, non-revenue water, first of all, we need to meter so that we know how much we are producing and how much we are selling. So that it can also bridge a gap in terms of the focus area. Where do we need to focus now? If you have covered the consumption, then where are we losing water? Then you start slowly getting to a point where you know exactly where water is being lost. So metering has two aspects, as I said, for purpose of billing, but also for purpose of measurement, so that you're able to control what you are doing.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
A resident of Mazabuka wants to sue Alaska Mineral Water Company after discovering strange particles in the bottled water that he bought for his family. Simon Peter Zulu, an active youth member of the district, claims he bought cases of Alaska water from Nakambala Market and later discovered it had foreign particles inside. Zulu tells Baita FM News that his family suffered severe diarrhea after drinking the said water. He has also cautioned members of the public to be careful of the water they buy from the market. Meanwhile, the contact numbers for Alaska Mineral Water Company were unreachable by broadcast time. The Mazabuka Municipal Council has taken up the matter to determine the allegations of contamination.
I bought water, a number of cases, and I've just discovered, say, one of the water is indeed contaminated. Why I'm saying this? Because you can't really understand what is inside this bottle, and as you can see, the water is sealed. But now there are a lot of dates, like also something like matuvi and other black things, which I can't really understand. So now we don't want to quickly lash into accusing the company or what, but my message is that first of all, we want the health department to do its job, and if indeed this water is not health, then we shall take a step to make sure that we sue this company, because all my family members who took this water, including myself, we have developed diarrhea. That I cannot hide to the public. Now, if mineral water can be like this, now where are we going to be rushing now if without water from the tap? I'm sure the government, they need to take a serious step, especially those in authority, those who are monitoring these issues to deal these things to deal with liquid things, etc. Something more like water from the sewage.
A physical scientist, Chalwe Kasongo, has called for water and sewerage reticulation systems in Lusaka City to be re-looked and realigned with the needs of the growing population so as to ensure that the basic standards of sanitation are observed. Speaking to Camnet News, Mr. Kasongo states that recent reports that fecal matter was found present in water samples from certain areas of Lusaka indicate poor water and sewer management, mostly caused by a growing population in the city. He has further called for the creation of employment opportunities in areas away from Lusaka to be taken seriously so as to curb the population boom in the city caused by those in search of employment opportunities. More in the following report.
Lusaka City is one of the most populated places in Zambia, with country demographics placing the population in the city at about 3.4 million of the estimated 18 million Zambians. This follows an increase in rural-urban migration as most people flock to the city seeking greener pastures. This, however, has caused a strain on available resources, as estimates from the Lusaka City Council indicate that the city was originally planned for about 800,000 people. A physical scientist, Mr. Chalwe Kasongo, says overpopulation in Lusaka should be handled urgently as it is causing a compromise on the living standards of citizens. The Ministry of Health recently announced that it has detected fecal matter in water samples from certain areas, namely Kanyama, Bauleni, Kaunda Square, Matero, and George Compound. Mr. Kasongo has told Camnet News that there needs to be restructuring of water and sewer systems in Lusaka to ensure that the growing population is catered for.
The issue of fecal matter being found in water for the people of our community is extremely unfortunate, and it calls for immediate attention from the government. It's time that the government, this new government, looks into the possibilities of restructuring the water reticulation system so that it is safe. Sometimes the fecal matters may come in through the leakages into the pipes that are within the environment. There are a lot of broken pipes, rotten pipes that have gotten destroyed.
As a long-lasting solution, the physical scientist states that unplanned settlements, locally known as shanty compounds, brought about by the population boom need to be restructured to follow basic standards of sanitation.
The Lusaka scenario is such that we have to accept that this city has become overwhelmed by the population that we are having. And in as much as you'll be able to give accommodation and pieces of land to a certain number of people, those people will continue to have children who also want to have their own pieces of land and build their own infrastructure. The temptation is usually to go out there and form their own settlements if the government does not react quickly by planning for them in advance. So as things stand right now, we have a situation where there is overpopulation.
He has further called on government to actively pursue creating employment opportunities away from Lusaka to encourage the population in the country's capital. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Transparency International Zambia, TIZ, is disturbed by the incidents of political violence in the Kaumbe constituency in Petauke, where suspected cadres from the ruling United Party for National Development UPND are reported to have attacked the campaign teams of the opposition Socialist Party and Patriotic Front. TIZ Executive Director Maurice Nyambe regrets that the political violence that became the hallmark of the last 5 years or so, perpetrated largely by the UPND and PF, appears to have continued even after the 12th August elections, which saw the UPND ascend to power. He has urged the police to expedite their investigations and bring the culprits to book.
The political violence that has been taking place in the Kaumbe parliamentary election in Petauke district. I think that Zambians have had enough of such lawlessness and intolerance, and really violence should not be tolerated or condoned, regardless of who is perpetrating it. We therefore wish to condemn, what has been happening in Petauke, and would really like to call on the Zambia Police Service to come down very strongly on this issue. We have taken note of the fact that Mr. Given Rubinda, who is the Vice President of the Patriotic Front and who is the one who was reportedly attacked in one of the incidents, has reported the matter to Petauke Police, and our hope and expectation is that the police will conduct their investigations thoroughly, but that it will also be done expeditiously so that whoever is are responsible for this, whoever is found culpable for this, must really be made to account for their actions. And if it means that they have to be prosecuted, then that is the direction that it should take. But I also need to mention that it is disappointing, really, to see some of the traits or the negative traits that we saw prior to the 12th August 2021 elections.
An electoral expert, McDonald Chipenzi, has attributed the political violence that has been experienced ahead of the forthcoming Kaumbwe constituency parliamentary by-election to the aspect of ferrying of political cadres. His comment follows the attack of 4 members of the Socialist Party in Petauke district in Kaumbwe by suspected cadres from the United Party for National Development and alleged attacks on the Patriotic Front. Mr. Chipenzi says the trend of ferrying supporters is fueling violence and must be condemned as it goes against the stance by President Hakainde Hichilema on the need to curtail the vice.
Also, the ferried people in Kaumbwe are seemingly to be the ones involved in this kind of electoral malpractice in Kaumbwe. However, in Msanzara and in Chisamba, things are still quiet. And we hope that they will remain quiet ahead of the 21st October 2021 general election. I think we need to maintain peace in order for us to allow citizens to effectively participate in the electoral process. We want also to array the debate that is criticizing the president, that is using government resource, and also the vice president, that she's using the government resource against whatever law. We must state here categorically that the law is very clear. Under Section 107 of the Electoral Process Act, schedule the Electoral Code of Conduct.
President Hakainde Hichilema says honesty is an ingredient that will help his administration to bring about transparent leadership, thus calling for patience as they work to deliver on people's desires. He says in just 2 months' time, the budget will be rolled out and then people will begin to evaluate the performance. The head of state says freedom for all and ending cadre lawlessness, restoring normalcy among other fundamentals was the first priority. He is confident that the people of Kaumbwe constituency will, this 21st October 2021, vote for a woman parliamentary candidate Esnat Sakala. And this afternoon, President Hichilema paid a courtesy call on Her Royal Highness Chieftainess Mwanjawantu, who highlighted challenges in accessing water for the people in her chiefdom. In his response, the President pledged to address the concerns. Residents of Chawama constituency have expressed concern over the increase in criminal activities in the area. In an interview with Camnet TV, the residents have attributed these malicious acts being experienced in the area to young unproductive people. They have since called on government to empower youths under various empowerment programs being offered. We have more in the following report.
Residents of Chawama constituency have passed concern over the increase in robbery reports recorded in the area, hence fearing for their lives, stating that they are not at liberty to conduct their daily activities. In an interview with Camnet News, the residents have disclosed that the malicious acts being experienced in the area is as a result of most young people not having productive things to engage into.
Majanki yalimboma yanganilepo ngazi wose barapisha mstreet wose bande ya matoya abantu awa taputika mwamba chekuba taputika mwandi boma yanganilepo kulipa kutumasha chokepo kukarasha nikukaja peso akulinzilile viyume hapa meneo yende maji za kwaniza boma yanganilepo ama munosinga na maboza mabao haya mukaiga mabao kumaila mpesa kulipa mukasia chintu panja nishibateka machazo majanki yalifundu Chawama mukasia japo chintu panja nishibateka.
They have since called on government to empower most young people in the country. The residents feel it is no longer safe to wash and leave clothes on the line without thinking of them being robbed. Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Independent Kalikiliki Ward Councillor Shadrack Mwanza has revealed that he has engaged the Natural Resources Development College NRDC to try and secure part of the bush that the college owns in Kalikiliki Ward for the construction of a school and clinic in the area. Residents of Kalikiliki compound have been demanding for the construction of a clinic and school in the area, stating that they have to walk long distances to access these services in other communities. However, Kalikiliki Ward Councillor Mr. Shadrack Mwanza states that the major problem is a lack of land in the area, in which he is now trying to advocate for, calling on all concerned players in the ward and constituency to come on board.
Lacking land, the land where we can put up the clinic, mini hospital, or the school. So those are the problems that we are facing. So now, as a councillor, I'm trying to engage the NRDC through the Ministry of Lands, so at least if they can give us part of NRDC bush where we can be able to put up a clinic and a school, at least it can be better for the Kalikiliki residents. So my appeal is to the Minister of Lands and also my MP, Mr. Michael Posha, if you can liaise with those people, and also the Minister of Lands.
Chilongolo Ward Councillor in Chilanga District, Nicholas Katampi, has expressed concern over the poor infrastructure development at Makeni Government School. In an interview with Camnet TV, the councillor says the area, which has a population of about 25,000 people, needs an urgent upgrade of the only school so that it accommodates secondary level. Mr. Katampi adds that the area is also in need to provide the school with learning materials so as to enhance learner performance. He has further stated that the school, once upgraded, will go a long way in improving young people's lives and alleviating poverty levels in the area.
We have that school because this place never had a high school for a long time, and most of the kids used to go to nearby constituency, that is Kenya. And find that most of the parents here would not manage to give their children transport money. If you look at that area, most of them are farm workers, and what they earn is little. But not long ago, that was in 2020, the school was upgraded to a high school, but it didn't have adequate infrastructure accommodate the higher grades, that is grade 10, grade 11 and grade 12. So for us, I think, or for me, that is the most pressing issue at the moment. Because that ward, or that school rather, I think it covers 2 wards, that is Chilongolo ward and New ward.
Detective Chief Inspector Oscar Sekazwe has told Lusaka Magistrate Alice Walusiku that a forensic examination was conducted on Mr. Chilufya Tayali's Nokia phone, which is alleged to have been used at the time he defamed former President Edgar Lungu. Mr. Tayali, the leader of the Economic and Equity Party, is facing 1 count of defamation of the president contrary to the laws of Zambia. He is alleged to have gone live on his Facebook page and accused former President Edgar Lungu of funding and protecting self-proclaimed Patriotic Front Commander Innocent Kalimanshi. When the matter came before court, Detective Sekazwe testified that the reason why he seized the accused phone was because he was instructed by the arresting officer. The witness testified that he cannot explain in detail the reason why the phone was seized from the accused because he was only working under instructions. We have more in this report.
Lusaka's subordinate court Tuesday morning commenced hearing a case where an opposition political leader is accused of defaming a former head of state earlier this year. A Lusaka magistrate Alice Walusiku this morning heard testimony from Detective Chief Inspector Oscar Skazwe, who explained that he seized Mr. Chilufya Tayali's Nokia phone as an exhibit in the case. Mr. Tayali, a leader of Economic and Equity Party, has been charged with one count of defamation of the president contrary to the laws of Zambia. Mr. Tayali was dragged to court in May this year after he alleged that former President Edgar Lungu was funding and protecting a patriotic front self-proclaimed National Commander Innocent Kalimashi, who he claimed is a personification of hooliganism, violence and anarchy in the country. The witness, Detective Chief Inspector Skazwe, testified that after he seized Mr. Tayali's Nokia phone on the 7th of May 2021, he took it to Zicta, where a forensic examination was conducted and a report was given. The alleged phone, said to have been seized from Mr. Chilufya Tayali, is said to have been used during the time Mr. Tayali went live on Facebook and uttered the same allegation against the former head of state. And during cross-examination, the witness told court that he was given instructions to seize Mr. Tayali's phone and was not told the reason why. The witness further testified that he is not aware of a person who lodged a complaint against the accused person. Previously, the magistrate had warned the state in the last court session that if they failed to commence with trial in the next court session, she was going to take necessary action. The matter has been adjourned to the 18th of November 2021. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
The trial of self-proclaimed opposition Patriotic Front National Commander Innocent Kalimanshi and 22 others took an early adjournment Tuesday morning after it was moved to another date. Kalimanshi is facing charges of trafficking in psychotropic substances, 2.0 grams, and using a motor vehicle to commit an offense under the Narcotic Drugs Act, while 5 of his co-accused are charged with trafficking 95.3 grams and 17 others are accused of being in possession of offensive weapons. The accused on Tuesday morning appeared before Magistrate Sanford Ngobola for mention and fixing of their trial date. More in this report.
Since August 2021, opposition self-proclaimed Patriotic Front Commander Innocent Kalimanshi and 5 others have continued to remain in custody over a charge of trafficking in drugs. Kalimanshi and his 22 co-accused were arrested by the Drug Enforcement Commission for allegedly trafficking psychotropic substance, namely cannabis, and being in possession of offensive weapons. Since August, when the accused were arrested, the state has not commenced with trial in the matter. Tuesday morning, all the 23 accused persons appeared before Lusaka Magistrate Sanford Ngobola for a mention and fixing of trial date. Kalimanshi is said to have trafficked 2.0 grams of cannabis and also used a motor vehicle to commit an offense under the Narcotic Drugs Act, while the 5 are accused of trafficking 95.3 grams of cannabis, and among the 5, 1 is accused of trafficking in 36.0 grams of the said drug. Kalimanshi and 5 of his colleagues have spent more than 2 months in prison as the offense they have been slapped with is non-bailable, while other accused persons who are facing the charge of being in possession of offensive weapons have been released on bail as the charge is bailable. According to the prosecution, trial in their case is expected to commence on the 22nd of November 2021. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
You're watching Camnet News and not just another channel. We take a break. We'll be back with more news after the break.
Would you like to win some cool cash? Say no more. Stand a chance to win your share of 1 million kwacha. Simply make a transaction from your Zamtel mobile money account and you could be one of weekly winners of up to 10,000 kwacha. Be empowered with Zamtel mobile money. Dial *344# to activate your account. This promotion runs from 28th July to 31st October 2021. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
quest to serve nations and develop Africa, ZAVENDA is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. ZAVENDA Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think ZAVENDA Farms.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties, on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. Minister of Education Douglas Yakalima says the ministry is working on fixing all irregularities within the ministry, such as placing on payroll all teachers who were previously employed but have not yet been placed on the payroll. Speaking in an interview, Mr. Siakalima further says the Ministry of Education is also working on reforming the education curriculum to ensure that it focuses more on entrepreneurship as one way of preventing the continuation of mass youth unemployment due to limited formal employment opportunities. Meanwhile, speaking during the official opening of the 12th International Biennial Pan-African Conference in Lusaka, Mr. Siakalima has called for concerted efforts from stakeholders to reduce illiteracy levels, which are currently high in the country. More in this report.
The education sector in Zambia has seen many scandals in the recent years, among them the deployment of 3,000 teachers who were, however, not placed on payroll. Stakeholders in the education sector stated that such incidences exposed irregularities in the education system which needed an immediate clean-up. The Ministry of Education says it has actively begun working towards ensuring that such inconsistencies are dealt with in a bid to improve the quality of education in the country. In an interview, Minister of Education Mr. Douglas Yakalima further asked that a reformation of the education curriculum is underway to ensure that it focuses more on entrepreneurship.
Those who are not on the payroll, we are checking, but it's not really like 3,000. I think the last recruitment was 1,200. But we need to polish up a lot of things in the system. Mind you, the Ministry of Education is half the civil service of Zambia. So it is a big, if you like, ministry. Because there are so many things that we want to start inculcating in our children. One, that is part of it. Two, our kids must grow to think that they can work for themselves and not go and work for somebody else. So that is why we are encouraging production unit in all our schools, so that immediately a person finishes grade 12, they are thinking about going to dig a pond in order to rear, to keep fish.
Meanwhile, addressing representatives of various African countries during the official opening of the 12th International Biannual Conference in Lusaka, Mr. Siakalima says there is need for players in the education sector to work together in combating illiteracy as it stands in the way of many youths finding gainful employment. Data from the Ministry of Education shows that youth illiteracy in Zambia stands at 53.3%, while adult illiteracy stands at 86.7%.
Improving literacy levels among our people is cardinal if Zambia is to meet its developmental goals and aspirations. Our youth must have the ability to manage the immediate environment, support their well-being, as well as create or find a job. Zambia has too many children, youth, and others who are unable to read, write, and perform basic literacy operations. This group of our population will struggle to find gainful employment or livelihood and will be left in the margins of society.
He has further called for the active participation of cooperating partners, stating that Zambia is currently in need of technological devices to aid in learning in the midst of the coronavirus. The conference has drawn representation from various African countries who have come together to seek solutions on how to reduce illiteracy levels in Africa. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Ministry of Health has disclosed that as of 14th October 2021, 10,413 pregnant women were vaccinated against the COVID-19 pandemic. 8,435,146 adults have been targeted for HIV vaccines, and the current vaccination rate is about 5%. National Expanded Program on Vaccination on Immunization Manager Dr. Francis Dean Mwansa says there are more males than females getting vaccinated. Dr. Mwansa says vaccination is a way to go because it is a sure way of going back to experiencing life normally, just like other countries have done. Dr. Mwansa was speaking during a media science cafe, Mesika, in Lusaka, Tuesday.
We have just over 61,000 of the health workers who are public, who are working in the public sector, who are basically civil servants. Just over 61,000. We have just over 1,000 health workers who are working in the private sector, and the rest are unemployed. So if you put together all three categories, there is an estimated number of 67,000. So in other words, we have 64% of the health workers who are fully vaccinated. We have quite a number that have received at least a dose of either AstraZeneca or Sinopharm. The hope is that with continued expansion, continued engagement, most of these health workers will get the vaccine. So not a bad number, but
Health Minister Sylvia Masebo has commended the Churches Health Association of Zambia for its support towards enhancing the health sector. Speaking when she officiated at the Charles Jubilee celebration Tuesday, Ms. Masebo notes that the church plays an important role in ensuring the development of the country by having a healthy population. The minister adds that government will seek to strengthen the partnership with CHAS. Speaking at the same event, CHAS board chairperson Father Justin Mutepa says the association has requested for more land from the traditional leadership in the area, which he says will expand their visibility through the construction of more offices. The Jubilee was being held under the theme 50 Years of God's Faithfulness and Grace in Health. Meanwhile, Bishop Telesfo Mpundu says the church helps bridge the gap between the rich and the poor by providing quality health care and encouragement to the vulnerable in society.
I've called our people in the rural areas with specialized medical services through the telemedicine. Much of brethren in Christ Mission Hospital has shown that it is possible to establish a research component even in the rural areas and contribute to the global scientific knowledge of malaria.
What we have, but if every time we are depending on donor money, we are not going anywhere. Let us start here and also show that we believe in the way of the change. That human beings are not poor. It was not God's wish that some people should be very rich and others have nothing, like we were experiencing not long ago. We can make a change. My sisters and brothers, let us make a change.
To make your work easier by moving from a regulatory paradigm to one in which we work to unleash your full potential. Your footprint places you in a unique position to reach Zambians everywhere, especially in the rural and hard-to-reach areas. This is because the challenges that we face as a country cannot be resolved by government alone. If we had more institutions with the capacity that Charles has, and who are willing to work with government for as long as Charles has, would score great successes in all areas of development. We want to pledge to ensure equitable distribution of health resources, including infrastructure. This is the basis and bedrock of our decentralization policy, the desire to move resources and critical services closer to the people. I understand that in the past, new health facilities could be built right next to locations of church health institutions. In the future, we aim for a more consultative approach to this matter as a way of maximizing both on the usage and distribution of public resources.
Sensex Africa says it is working at ensuring that agriculture and agribusiness startups in Zambia receive the much-needed support to enable them become more sustainable and productive. Speaking at a media briefing held in Lusaka, Company Chief Executive Officer Bibusa Wiseman says promoting local agriculture businesses will create employment for the local people, mostly the youths whose businesses have the capacity to grow but have been limited with financial resources. She has since called on government to come on board and partner with the company to ensure that as many businesses in the country as possible are trained and linked to the right investors. More in the following report.
Agriculture and agribusiness plays an important role in the Zambian economy, contributing around 20% to gross domestic product (GDP) in recent years and about 12% of national export earnings. While Zambia is rich with vast land and water resources, agriculture has not been fully utilized as poverty levels still remain high, an indication that families are still lacking foodstuffs among other necessities. And speaking at the agriculture conference held at Healing Word Ministries in Lusaka, Egyptian Professor Reda says it is unfortunate that Zambians have not yet mastered the art of agriculture, as most agriculture activities only take place during the rain season.
There's a great land, a large land, and a variety, a diversification of a type of soil that can be able to plant all type of crops in different regions here in Zambia or in different provinces. Also the water is here in Zambia, is available, is a plenty of water, but unfortunately we are not using what we supposed to use.
The professor has since challenged Zambians to invest in irrigation system and invest in water to enable agriculture activities last all year round.
We depend only, most of us, on the rain-fed season to plant our crops, while the remaining months of the year we don't plant anything. Why? Because we don't have the irrigation system. Why? Because we don't have the knowledge or the information. Maybe.
Other speakers such as Professor Yamba have emphasized the importance of investing in research in order to improve agriculture production.
Tell you what, they draw water from 900 meters, 900 meters, but almost 1 kilometer. To irrigate what is, on the ground here. It's not a joke. But no, it has to take the human mind and invest in research for you to do that.
All inventions, all great things have come from the mind. And it can be your mind to produce those great things. When you understand this fully, you stop depending on other people, because you have the tools in your mind to think and create.
Agriculture is an art that can be learnt with time through access to information and investing in knowledge. Prudence Tota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
You're watching Camnet TV News. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more international and sports news.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
At Zavenda Express Printing, we have the capacity to deliver quality in all kinds of printing services timely. Our lines of production include screen printing, embroidery, lithography, and large format printing. We take pride in delivering quality work at very competitive rates with our in-house, highly experienced and qualified designers. With the ability to print full color and embossing prints, our state-of-the-art screen printing machines are able to print 1,000 pieces per hour. Our embroidery machines are able to print any logo with 1 or up to 12 colors all at once and has an output capacity of 100 pieces per hour. Zavenda Express Printing also does large format printing for billboards, banners, vinyl, car stickers, posters, tire covers, cups, pens, bags, flasks, packaging boxes, and well, just anything that can need printing. For inquiries, give us a call on 0960 344 471.
Are you a small to medium enterprise looking to advertise your products and services within your community and across Zambia? In these economic times, we are here to help you grow your business. Advertise with us on Camnet Market. Camnet Market is offering lower rates for prime time advertising between 06 to 18 hours every day to give your business an edge under the new normal and beyond. For more details, contact us on the following numbers: 097 975 3010 or 096 296 5883, as well as 096 244 726. You can also reach us via email on info@camnettvafrica.com. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. And in international news, volunteers working with the Congolese Health Ministry dressed in protective clothes on Monday disinfected the house of a man suspected of dying from Ebola in Kasabinyole, a neighborhood in Beni. The 36-year-old's body was removed and covered while distraught relatives looked on and begged to see him one more time. But the volunteers had to explain to them it would not be possible. In other news, Burundi, one of the last countries in the world to inoculate its people against COVID-19, received its first batch of vaccines on Thursday after a major U-turn by the government. The East African country, whose leaders had previously downplayed the severity of the coronavirus pandemic, took the delivery of 500,000 donated doses of China's Sinopharm vaccine at a ceremony in the economic capital, Bujumbura. For international news, here's a roundup.
At least 43 people were confirmed dead after gunmen from a suspected criminal gang attacked a village market in northwest Nigeria's Sokoto state. The Sokoto government spokesman Mohammed Bello said in a statement that the 43 people were confirmed dead following the attack by bandits in the Goronyo village. Heavily armed gangs, known locally as bandits, have terrorized northwest and central Nigeria for years, raiding and looting villages, but attacks have become even more violent in recent months. Since last month, Nigerian troops have been conducting air and ground operations against bandits camps in neighboring Zamfara state. Telecom services were also shut down in Zamfara and parts of Kaduna and Katsina states. The phone networks in the area have been suspended for 2 weeks to disrupt the gang operations, making information gathering difficult. Burundi began to inoculate its population against COVID-19 this week. The East African country last week took delivery of 500,000 donated doses of China's Sinopharm vaccine. Burundi only rarely makes public announcements about COVID-19 infection data, but according to the latest figures reported by the WHO, it has recorded over 19,000 confirmed cases with 14 deaths. For me, I don't see myself getting this vaccine or accepting to be vaccinated, because I have heard that even if you are vaccinated, you can still have the virus and also Agathon Rwasa, who is the leader of the opposition National Congress for Liberty CNL party, called on the government to intensify an awareness campaign about COVID and said it should ensure enough supplies of the vaccine. Saying that health is the responsibility of the individual who is going to be vaccinated, you can understand that there is cause to ask 1,001 questions. So I would rather encourage the intensification of the awareness campaign so that everyone knows that the danger is indeed there. And secondly, to make the cures widely available, because it is a curable disease. Burundi's health minister said the campaign will initially target healthcare providers, people aged over 60 or with underlying health problems, as well as people traveling abroad and any volunteers.
Volunteers are working with the Congolese Health Ministry. Dressed in protective clothes, they are helping disinfecting the house of a man suspected of dying from Ebola. The 36-year-old's body was found in Casabignole, a neighborhood in Beni. After being removed and covered, samples have been taken from the victim and will be analyzed to determine if he was infected with Ebola. While the victim's body was being transported, relatives looked on and begged to see him one more time, but considering the risk, the volunteers had to explain to them that it will not be possible. On Monday, authorities said that 5 confirmed cases of Ebola have been registered in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, where at least 3 people died this month since the new outbreak was declared. And last week, the World Health Organization started vaccinating people against the virus.
It's now time for sports news. And in sports news, Zambia Rugby Union and Rugby Afrique have concluded the Level 1 Super Week for coaching, refereeing, strength and conditioning and medics. The Level 1 courses, which ran from the 13th of October to the 18th of October 2021, attracted more than 50 participants, out of which 17 were female. The attendees were given tasks to perform as a way of checking for understanding, skill levels and experience. The Super Week was also a combination of the World Rugby Educator course, which attracted trainee educators from Botswana, Eswatini and host Zambia under the supervision of Regional Training Manager Denver Winnies from Rugby Afrique. During an address to the attendees, Zambia Rugby Union President Brigadier General Clement Sinkamba applauded the effort shown by those in attendance. He said the union is in a hurry to grow and develop the game of rugby in the country, and this capacity-building Super Week is a great step in the right direction.
For the first time in the history of our country, we were able to have about 32 coaches being certified into Level 1, and we had about 15 Level 1 match officials. We had about 6 strength and conditioning coaches getting their Level 1 certificates, and we also had about 20 medical practitioners getting their Level 1 certificates. So we are very glad, because this is really a step in the right direction. We had promised that before the end of the year we were going to set up this capacity building, and we are glad that eventually we have managed to fulfill that. And what is even more fascinating is the fact that the number of women participants was just huge. It is actually a milestone, a huge milestone on our part, because we had close to 17 women taking part in the Level 1 capacity building coaching courses and other related strands.
To end Camnet TV main news, we'll take a look at stories making headlines once again. The DP expels KALABA from the party. President HH implores Zambians to exhibit patience. Bishop MAMBO labels National Day of Prayer organizers hypocrites. In international news, gunmen kill 43 in Nigeria's troubled north. And in sports news, Zambia Rugby Union concludes Super Week. We now look at the Camnet verse of the day, coming from 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 8 to 9. Dear friends, don't let this one thing escape you. With the Lord, one day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years like one day. The Lord does not delay his promise, as some understand delay, but is patient with you, not wanting any to perish, but all to come to repentance. Thanks for watching. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Bye-bye.